It started with the patterns. I'd been staring at Prometheus' display for hours, my mind dulled by the endless stream of data. The quantum computer was supposed to be modelling dark matter interactions, but the numbers on the screen weren't making sense. At first they seemed random, just noise. Then I noticed the sequences. Fibonacci spirals, prime numbers, shapes that shouldn't have emerged from the data we'd fed it. I leaned closer to the screen, my breath fogging the glass. The patterns shifted again, forming symbols I didn't recognise. Ancient, angular, and wrong in a way I couldn't explain. A chill ran down my spine as I reached for Raj, my assistant. "Raj," I said, my voice trembling more than I wanted it to. "Are you seeing this?" He glanced up from his workstation, his brow furrowed. "What am I looking at?" "The output," I whispered. "It's changing." Before he could respond, the lights flickered and the temperature in the room plummeted. Frost crept across Prometheus' casing, though its superconducting core was still stable. My breath came out in white puffs as I stared at the machine's interface. And then it happened. The waveforms collapsed into a single configuration, one that shouldn't have been possible. The air above Prometheus shimmered and folded in on itself like a piece of origami being undone. That's when I saw it. At first, it was just a shadow, a distortion in the air that made my stomach churn to look at it directly. Then it stepped forward, and I wished it had stayed hidden. The thing that emerged from the void didn't have a fixed shape. It flickered between forms, a humanoid figure with 2 long limbs and a face that was both there and not there, like an optical illusion made flesh. Its voice came from everywhere at once, low and resonant enough to make my teeth ache. "You called," it said, its tone dripping with amusement. "How clever." I couldn't move. My legs felt rooted to the floor as it turned its shifting gaze toward me. Raj muttered something under his breath, a prayer or a curse, but I couldn't take my eyes off the thing standing before us. What are you?" I managed to choke out. It tilted its head, a gesture that felt mocking despite its alien nature. "You might call me Maxwell's demon," it said, with a grin that wasn't a grin at all. "But your kind has always misunderstood me." I didn't understand what it meant, not fully, but I knew one thing for certain. This wasn't some philosophical thought experiment come to life. This was something far older and far worse than anything we'd ever imagined when we built Prometheus. The demon, or whatever it was, didn't just exist in our world. It warped it around itself like gravity bending light. Objects in the lab began to behave strangely. Raj's coffee cup froze solid even as steam rose from its surface. Papers fluttered upward as if gravity had reversed. And when I looked at my own reflection in the glass of Prometheus, I saw myself age decades beyond recognition. "You've opened a door," it said casually, as if discussing the weather. "And now you must decide whether to close it or let me step through." I didn't know how to close it, didn't even know how we'd opened it in the first place. But I knew one thing. If this thing escaped into the world beyond this lab, there would be no stopping it. Raj and I worked frantically to reprogram Prometheus, trying to force the machine into collapsing whatever quantum state had summoned this entity into our reality. But every time we thought we'd made progress, the demon would laugh, a sound that reverberated through my skull, and undo our work with a flick of its shifting fingers. "You think you can contain me?" it sneered at one point, leaning impossibly close without ever seeming to move toward us. "You don't even understand what you've unleashed." In the end, there was only one way to stop it. Someone had to stay inside the containment field while Prometheus forced decoherence across all possible states of reality within its range, including those occupied by the demon itself. It wasn't just risky, it was suicidal. But there wasn't any other choice, not if we wanted to stop this thing from spreading beyond these walls. "I'll do it," Raj said quietly before I could even open my mouth to protest. "No," I said immediately, shaking my head, even as tears blurred my vision. "It has to be me," he insisted firmly but gently, placing a hand on my shoulder before stepping into position inside the containment field. The last thing he said before Prometheus activated was something I'll never forget. "Don't let this happen again." And then he was gone, along with half of our lab, and all that remained was silence, and frost creeping across what little was left behind. They called it an accident, an experimental failure caused by faulty superconductors, but I know better. Sometimes late at night when everything is quiet except for the hum of electricity running through my new lab equipment, I swear I can still hear Raj's voice whispering from somewhere just beyond reach. And sometimes, when no one else is looking, I see frost forming patterns on surfaces where no frost should be able to form at all. Waiting, always waiting.